I'm Sam Steyer. I'm the head of data science at Halcyon. The way to think about Halcyon is you guys are out there building solar and other power assets, building data centers. We are humbly asking to take a little bit of that capacity and spin GPUs to make energy research and data sets for you all. We are a software startup, an AI native energy research platform. I'm actually going to give a presentation that our co-founder Nat Bullard created. Nat's in Singapore, but I talked to him this morning and he had extreme FOMO and says hello to many of you. The thing that's happening right now, essentially power consumption in the United States used to grow 10% a year all the way through the early 2000s. And then it flattened out for some good reasons, energy efficiency, some not good reasons, inability to build out the grid, stop of growth in manufacturing. And we are back to 10% growth again. That's almost completely because of compute. But if you look at this year and what's expected for next year, we are right back. The driver of that is capex for data centers. This is data center capex spend from the four biggest spenders, Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft. As you can see, it really is a discontinuous jump in the last few years as they build out for AI. And this year they're expected to spend $344 billion. It normalized to 2025 dollars. That's more than was being spent on telecom during the dot-com boom and almost as much as oil and gas development during peak oil prices. So essentially there's this huge data center build out. It's driving electricity growth again in the United States. The second thing to know about this is there's a lot of disagreement about how much of this stuff is going to get built. This is data center, large load interconnection requests in ERCOT. As you can see, this year is more than 3 times last year. But if you look at the actual individual projects, most of them are either under review or have not submitted studies yet. So there's uncertainty. I think highlighting that uncertainty, if you add up the transmission service providers in ERCOT's forecast for how much load they're going to bring online by 2030, it's 78 gigawatts. ERCOT has published a forecast saying 22 gigawatts. So essentially everyone thinks it's going up, but there's a lot of disagreement about how much. This is essentially showing the same thing. And data centers really are the question for electricity growth. El Paso Electric is a New Mexico utility. This is looking at their integrated resource plan. Essentially, their base case is power will grow 20% over 10 years. Their high electrification scenario, which is like heat pumps, EVs, sort of consumer stuff, is 27%. The case where data centers come into their service territory is 214%. So this really is the dominant factor in what's going to happen with electricity. It is going gangbusters in Texas, as many of you know and are involved in, but there are applications being submitted everywhere. This is PG&E, which I think is thought of as one of the most difficult places to develop data centers. But if you look, even in PG&E, there's 8 gigs of capacity in the interconnection queue, 75% of which is data centers. And this is consumer energy interconnection queue in Michigan. And I think the point we're trying to make here is there's tons of requests, but oftentimes the capacity is dominated by a few large data centers. If you look at the data centers in the queue, they range all the way from 4 megawatts up to 2.1 gigawatts. And then using Halcyon, we've been able to track the incidence of different words in dockets and filings. Data centers has gone up every year. Hyperscalers has gone way up. I think suddenly the tech companies are out there in the PUCs in the regulatory record. There are 50 utilities that are working on a special tariff for data centers. This has become, a huge part of the business for utilities and a huge part of figuring out regulation for regulators. And there's this sort of rapid, elastic increase in demand. The supply side is not that elastic and is struggling to keep up. This is the cost to build a combined cycle natural gas power plant with more demand looking further out. The cost to build is going up because there aren't that many turbines. There aren't that many EPC companies that can do this. Capacity is limited. I would argue it is more flexible for solar. We don't have that data. Similarly, people are buying power plants, like old power plants, dirty power plants, and any power plants, and they are paying higher and higher prices. But it is just not something that can be spun up that fast. So if you look at the natural gas power plants that are under development in the United States, most of them are coming online in 28, 29, and 30. And so the ability to just ramp power capacity, not to mention the grid, to meet this demand is limited. This is Halcyon's gas power data, just showing people are trying with natural gas. They're also trying with solar. But I think there's a huge opportunity for the people in this room to make that ramp in demand possible with new and better ideas. That's it for me. Thank you very much. If you want to check out this data, IRL, our app is free and open at halcyon.io. You also can stalk people in this room because many of you participate in the regulatory record. So feel free to search your own name as well. Thank you.
Thank you.